Optimal health for high performers. This is the Health Upgrade Podcast with Dr. Nawaz Habib.
Hello there. Welcome back to the Health Upgrade Podcast. This is Dr. Habib, and I'm going to take today's episode to discuss vagus nerve stimulators. And I want to do this because vagus nerve stimulators are recently becoming very present in social media, online, in doctors' offices and therapeutic protocols. And I want to discuss my experience and just kind of understand the differences between the three different types of vagus nerve stimulators, specifically the target areas of vagus nerve stimulation, if it is even a vagus nerve stimulator. And these are important because when you are making a decision as a patient, as a wellness or health seeker, you want to go out and actually make an educated decision about the types and the research and understand whether this is the right one for you. So I'm going to spend the next 15 to 20 minutes kind of going over the different types of stimulators, the ones that I've used, the ones that I haven't. I'll explain a little bit about what I do know about them, but I've been exposed to quite a few, as you can imagine, in my line of work and with my expertise. So what we're going to do is kind of break that down, and we'll spend a little time explaining all the different types of vagus nerve stimulators and their clearances and the companies that they're coming from as well. All right. So I'm going to first discuss that there are three different types of non-invasive vagus nerve stimulation devices. We're specifically focusing on non-invasive devices, not the invasive ones, meaning that we're not talking about surgically implanted vagus nerve stimulators. Yes, they do exist, and yes, they do have a lot of research on them, but the vast majority of people are not going to have a surgical implanted device if they're seeking a non-invasive option to help support their health from a wellness standpoint, or if there are conditions that they're trying to overcome with these challenges. There are some devices that are FDA cleared that are implanted. So on the implanted side, we have FDA clearances for things like rheumatoid arthritis more recently, but epilepsy and treatment-resistant depression, and even in some cases PTSD as well, have implantable devices that have been FDA cleared, and we're not going to be discussing those, but you can see that the range of conditions that vagus nerve stimulation has been found to be beneficial in. When we get into the non-invasive devices, we're going to talk about three different areas. So there are cervical stimulators, meaning stimulation on the neck area where the vagus nerve courses down alongside the carotid artery and jugular vein. The second area are auricular vagus nerve stimulators, and these are transcutaneous, meaning going through the skin, auricular, meaning the auricle of the ear, which is the outside part of your ear. And we have to talk about placement of these devices because placement, both cervical and auricular, are very important to talk about. And then the last one are not direct vagus nerve stimulators, but rather biofeedback and stress management devices. And they have benefits on HRV, on vagus nerve activation, on vagal tone, but they're not direct vagus nerve stimulators. So I'm going to go through the three different types that are currently available. And we're doing this in February of 2026. So I want to make sure that you're aware that obviously things are going to change in the next many months and years. So if you're listening to this later, this is still maybe a little bit, it could be a little old. There may be a lot of new research or some new devices that might be out there. So let's start off first with the cervical vagus nerve stimulation devices. These are the ones that are used on the neck. And there are three main competitors within this realm. They are TruVaga, Pulsetto, and Hulist. Okay, so three different companies that are working on providing wellness-based cervical vagus nerve stimulation, meaning on the neck. Now, the important thing to note is you want to be placing these devices directly over the area that they are intending. So specifically for TruVaga is a single-handed device. It's meant to be a one-sided vagus nerve stimulation tool, not bilateral, but one side of the neck. And This device is actually the pioneer in the field. It comes from a company known as electroCore Inc. They are a public company. The build quality is generally quite high. It is a patented product, and they do have the patent for vagus nerve stimulation in the wellness realm on the neck. And so competitors actually may be infringing on that patent, and there are lawsuits that are underway. Regardless, these products are still generally available throughout the market. The TruVaga has a relatively high ease of use. One of their real big pros is it's a 2-minute treatment time, and 2 minutes is often sufficient in most cases of getting the vagus nerve stimulation to occur, and that has been shown to be quite effective. But we can always tweak those timings and when you're doing them and what you're doing them with in conjunction with other vagus nerve activation pieces, and depending on the protocol that you personally need. The best thing about this device, the TruVaga device from electroCore, is their strong research backing. This is the thing that drew me to the company. And as a full disclosure, I have spoken for electroCore at numerous conferences in the past, and I use this device. I have one sitting here. I've got it in my hand right now. I use this device personally daily, and I really do love it because it is a very easy to use tool with a short treatment time that has a relatively high effectiveness in terms of cervical vagus nerve stimulation. So that's really something that I love about it. It's also very easy to travel with. It does fit any size neck. There isn't a neck size issue that may occur. And the TruVaga Plus specifically is a USB-C charging device and has unlimited use. There's no subscription cost or anything to using the TruVaga Plus. Okay. Now, on the con side of things, in terms of the TruVaga Plus, it does have the highest price point, and that is a bit of a challenge for some people when there is financial struggle or financial challenge to overcome. So just keeping that in mind. And secondly, this device, the TruVaga Plus, is only available in the United States of America. That is a problem for people that obviously aren't in the US. You need to have a US registered phone in order to get it. It's not even a delivery thing. The app is only available in the US. So as it currently stands, that's one major con for those who are not living in the United States to get this. And it needs to be used with an app. It's not like it has buttons on it directly where you can go up and down without needing to use the app. And it does require a little bit of understanding and a little bit of effort to try to find the correct treatment spot. That said, when you find it, it's relatively easy to use. And like I said, I do really love this device. It's something that I've grown to appreciate and use relatively often, and really do appreciate, particularly for myself and for my clients that are in the US as well. The next one is one that you're probably more aware of if you're looking about this on the cervical side of things, is the Pulsetto device. Now, Pulsetto is a company based out of Lithuania. They are available worldwide, and that is one big pro, certainly, for the company. And one thing to know about the Pulsetto device is it is a bilateral stimulator. So that means that it almost is like a neck collar that comes around the back, and then it has its electrodes placed or intended to be placed over the carotid artery jugular vein area on both sides of the neck at the same time. With that, there are some pros. It is a set it and forget it style device. You don't need to hold it with your hand. You just need to turn on the app, turn on the device, and you're kind of good to go. So it is a relative hands-free. The app is quite high quality. Even the basic version of the app has great inclusions within it in terms of breath work and tools that you can use in combination. So great integrations there. It does come with an optional travel case, but it is a little bigger, so a bit of a challenge to travel with. It does have USB-C charging and a relatively long battery life, so I certainly would recommend it in those situations. A couple of cons: I've had Pulsettos and I've broken Pulsettos. The build quality is a little bit lower. It is not patented. This is a big thing, and there is this lawsuit between these two companies, which has been filed and it's public. So this is knowledge that anybody should have if they're doing or looking into this. It can be difficult to place correctly on the neck, and smaller necks or very large necks may have challenge getting to the right spots. And in my personal opinion, the stimulation or the actual experience of the stimulation with the Pulsetto is sharper than the TruVaga device. Now, they're based on the same technology, but the sharper stimulation may actually prevent you from feeling calmer or quieter during this experience. Okay. Um, Getting it in the right spots is of highest importance, so placement can be a challenge. And with both these devices, the TruVaga and the Pulsetto, you do require electrode gel or conductive gel placed on the electrodes, placed on the spots. There are different types. There are spray versions, there are gel versions. You can pick and choose, but it does require a conductive medium to go between these two. So depending if you have long hair, the Pulsetto might be a bit of a challenge in terms of the mess that it can create. So I recommend for female clients to tie their hair up before they do it, or anybody that has longer hair, doesn't have to be female. So something to consider if you're looking into this. Now, the third option in this cervical vagus nerve stimulation area is the Hulist VE Relief. And I am very intrigued by this device. It is a single one-sided stimulator. It is quite small, and that is actually a big pro because it means it's really easy to travel with, and it doesn't need to be used with an app. So the ease of use is certainly there. It does not require gel. This is a big pro as well. It does not require gel. In fact, the electrode leads that are on this particular device are made of a conductive gel, and they do kind of shrink out over time. You may need to replace them, or you probably will need to replace them, and that can get expensive over time. That said, the cost of this device is lower than both the Pulsetto and the TruVaga. Okay. Relatively high ease of use, a relatively short treatment time. With the Pulsetto, the treatment time is anywhere between 4 and 10 minutes. The TruVaga is 2 minutes plus. You can always increase that. And the VE Relief is around 2 to 4 minutes as well. So it's a relatively short treatment time required. I haven't seen a lot of research on the Hulist device personally. That said, they have great stats. They have great stuff posted on their website, but the battery life is a little bit shorter. It does require some more stimulation or some more charging. That said, it is seemingly a good device, but again, not the patent holder in this area. So those are the three options on the cervical, on the neck stimulators. Shorter treatment times, require a gel, tend to work on an app, but not always, and may have a slightly higher cost associated to using them. That said, they are the quickest and easiest to plug into your daily life. And so I am a fan of utilizing short treatment times and having the effect in 2 to 10 minutes rather than something that requires 15 to 60 minutes, because unfortunately, most people don't have the time to put on a device for a very long period of time. There isn't a huge burden, or there isn't a huge stack of research on cervical devices as yet. It is growing, certainly. There is some controversy on whether the vagus nerve is actually being stimulated by cervical devices. I can tell you there are very clear research articles showing that you do get vagus nerve stimulation, but placement is absolutely of utmost importance. Getting it in the correct spot is of the highest importance. So if you're not willing to kind of fumble with the location, you're not willing to fumble with a handheld or a messy device on the neck, this is where auricular vagus nerve stimulators are likely to be one of your better options. Now, auricular means the ear, and there's a very small area in the ear that's actually where the vagus nerve is innervating. It's the auricular branch of the vagus nerve. It is on the Cymboconcha area around the tragus, and there's a very small area where only about 980 fibers of the vagus nerve actually make it to. It's a very small percentage of the vagus nerve that gets to the ear. That said, when it comes to vagus nerve stimulation, non-invasive, if you look at the research, the auricular branch is the one that has the highest level of research. There is a significant amount of research on auricular vagus nerve stimulators, and they are quite positive, ranging anywhere between conditions from PTSD to long COVID to Alzheimer's to even autoimmune conditions. So highly recommend looking into that if that's research that you're interested in doing. There are a few great devices that have a lot of research backed on them, and I want to talk about those top few. So Neurosym is one of the absolute top researched devices. This is a clip on the tragus device. It's a single-sided device. They have very, very strong clinical evidence, over 30 clinical trials, mostly with great positive outcomes. The short treatment time can be as little as 5 minutes, but they say anywhere between 5 and 60 minutes. So depending on the person, it can be longer, 60 to 90 minutes, even in some situations. And the best part about this is apparently it's a very small and discreet and easy to use device for travel. So it almost looks like an iPod device, and then there's a wire that goes towards the ear, and seems like a really good option for most people that are looking for auricular devices. The con for this device is the initial cost is quite high. Of all of the vagus nerve stimulators, non-invasive, this is the highest cost by a significant margin, so something definitely to keep in mind. There is no app integration. You can't keep track of any treatments as it currently stands. They probably will change that at some point soon, but as it currently stands, there isn't. And the long treatment time may still be a bit of a challenge for some people to incorporate. The second one I want to talk about is Dolphin Neurostim. And Dolphin is a great device that's actually used by a lot of clinicians and has quite a few FDA clearances. So it's effective for pain relief and chronic pain conditions. It's particularly beneficial in anxious individuals, and it has previously been cleared by Health Canada and I believe the FDA in the United States for various conditions, and it is an active treatment noted to improve vagus nerve function. So this device is absolutely well researched and well appreciated, and it's safe when we have the clearances. On the con side of things, the treatment times are 10 to 15 minutes, maybe a little bit longer. There is a steeper learning curve, and that might be an issue for some people. Learning how to use this device can be a little bit more challenging. And some users actually might find more hypersensitivity during the treatment. The area may become more challenging. And this particular device, I'm sure it'll change at some point, but it currently requires 9-volt battery replacements. And the Pro Kit version of this can be quite pricey. Now, the one thing I don't love about this is when they have the clip and they place the clip on the ear lobe. The ear lobe is not where the vagus nerve innervates the ear. It's on the tragus. And so placement is very, very important to note here. The Dolphin Neurostim and any auricular vagus nerve stimulator need to go to the tragus and to the Cymboconcha area of the ear. So making sure that placement is at the top of mind, you're going to then get the best results. The last one I want to talk about is, or the second last one, is the YoJo device. And YoJo uses a WONZ device, W-O-N-Z, W-O-N-Z for my Canadian people here. That device is quite good, but they're in development of a new one. Now, one important piece of information, I am a vagal health advisor for YoJo, and the reason I've decided to do that and to help support the company is because I believe that their app is actually by far the best of all the vagus nerve stimulation apps out there. It has some amazing tools that help you gather information pre and post stimulation and complete the stimulation as part of it. The stimulation time for the YoJo device is around 30 minutes. So you can plug it in and sit at the computer and do some work or have your coffee or do something along those lines. The issue with it is the longer treatment time, but the benefits are direct vagus nerve stimulation placed directly onto the areas where the vagus nerve innervates the ear. So I do highly recommend that. There are multiple stimulation modes inside there. They're very easy to maneuver, very easy to play with, but the app is by far the best app that I've used across the board for all of these devices. So the YoJo device, Y-O-J-O, look up YoJo, and you can take a look at their tools, their device, and how the company kind of works. And the app is really the top of the line tool that I've used, no question about it. There are a few other ones out there. There's Zen by Nuvana, which is integrated with music and audio in combination. There is a higher initial cost for that one. There is limited scientific evidence, and it's not my absolute favorite, but it is portable and easy to use. Haven't had a lot of exposure to that one, so it's tough to say much about it. And then there is the Vagus Stim device, which has a surprisingly good amount of research, and it's relatively easy to use, but it's 15 minutes of treatment daily minimum, and they can find the treatment. People have noted that the treatment can be quite uncomfortable. The build quality of the device is not great. From what I've seen, and it can be tricky to place the device in the correct spot and have it easily and comfortably working to do that job. So it is something to look into, absolutely. The lower cost is one very positive thing about it, but I don't have a lot of time with that device in my practice or my experience. The last area of vagus nerve stimulators that I want to talk about are these biofeedback and stress management devices. Now, these devices are not direct vagus nerve stimulators. They are tools that are helped to design or designed to help you create an experience of getting back into your body. And this is where the pairing of humming, chanting, breathing, gargling, singing, breathing practices really are utilized effectively. And I, without a doubt, when it comes to the biofeedback tools, would give the gold medal of this to HeartMath. HeartMath is my absolute favorite device to tell your body and to tell you where you currently stand, to help you provide an overview of so many different factors going on within your body, and to provide you with a practical plan in a relatively short 5 to 15 minutes of daily work to create this intended effect of vagus nerve activation. And it's the InnerMath Coherence Plus device that I've been using personally, and I absolutely love this device, no question about it. The pros: it has advanced HRV monitoring with professional grade photodetectors. It's a tool that you clip onto your earlobe. It's not stimulating, it's reading what's going on with your heart rate, your breath rate, and your HRV in combination. And what that does is it translates your HRV patterns into coherence scores. And coherence is what is used by HeartMath to tell you whether you're in a state of coherence or not. And coherent state is vagally activated state, that you're able to not only turn on your vagus nerve, but do it on demand and teach your body to enter that state on demand. And I really love that about this device. It is a simple and easy to use device. Very, very simple, versatile to connect, very high build quality. I've not had any issues with it. Challenge can be a bit of a learning curve in how to use this, how to follow the app, but I really think that as overwhelming as some of these tools can be, if you spend a little bit of time trying to figure this particular one out, you may be able to follow and have really positive effects with this. Breathing patterns on this can be a little bit difficult to follow, but you can change the pattern, whether you want the circle that's expanding or you want to see the waves going up and down. There are ways to adjust mid-treatment recording as to telling you how to adjust this. And so I'm really quite intrigued by this particular device for those who are willing to commit to doing the work. And I think that is, for me, the one challenge is a lot of people that have had HeartMath or used HeartMath, it's not always easy to follow along with. So if you're going to invest in this, make sure you're up for and willing to do the work of daily HeartMath practice. It's not a long time, it's not a huge investment, but you need to be consistent with this to get the benefit from it. The next one I want to talk about is the Apollo Neuro device. The Apollo Neuro is a wristband that is clinically validated to improve HRV, energy, and sleep quality, and it uses gentle vibrations rather than an electrical stimulation. But it is not, again, not a vagus nerve stimulator. The gentle vibrations are almost a reminder for you to calm down, to relax, to breathe. And that reminder to get into a breathing pattern is very, very beneficial, because sometimes we get caught into dealing with lots of stress, and our bodies and our minds get distracted. And this is a great way to limit the distractions for a lot of people. You can wear the band on your wrist or your ankle, so there are options there. There are a couple of cons that people do note: that there is limited battery life, so you do need to charge the device pretty regularly. The design on the wrist can be a little bit bulky. I'm sure they're in the process of designing smaller versions, but it is a little bit of a bulky design. There is limited independent research. They've only done their own real research, and the initial cost can be a little bit prohibitive for people. Just things to keep in mind, but it is great if you often catch yourself hyper stressed and you need something to help bring you back to that calm state. So highly recommend looking into the Apollo Neuro for that type of situation. The next one I want to discuss is the Sensate device. And Sensate is a 10-minute infrasonic resonance technology device. And this is, you want to think of it like a little stone sitting on your chest on a band that goes around your neck. So it's almost like a necklace with a big stone that rests on your sternum. And what this does is it helps to build resilience to stress by conditioning the vagus nerve's relaxation response without direct vagus nerve stimulation. It uses sound vibrations rather than electrical stimulation. It is relatively portable and easy to use. It's not discreet. Unless you're putting it under your clothing, it is not a discreet tool. But if you're only doing it for 10 minutes daily, it's not a bad option as well. It does require an additional subscription fee for full features. Connectivity and interruptions do occur between the device and the app, but I'm sure they're cleaning that up. And there are variable benefits with modest improvements at best. We don't see huge changes with the Sensate device overall. So it is good, but it's certainly not a vagus nerve stimulator. So if you want support with meditation, if you want support to help to utilize these gentle vibrations rather than electrical stimulation, that's the type of person, or that's the type of device you want to be going for that person. The last one I want to talk about is really more of a biofeedback on brain activity device, and this is the Muse headband. Now, the Muse headband is a real-time biofeedback tool on brain activity, heart rate, and breathing during sessions. And you can do guided meditations and soundscapes, which are really powerful. And what it'll do is track and quantify your meditation progress over time. And the Muse S model is actually good for sleep tracking as well. That said, it is a relatively expensive initial cost, plus an ongoing subscription for full access. One of the challenges here is it's not a direct vagus nerve stimulator. If you just truly want to become aware of what's happening within your brain waves during sleep, this is a great way to do so. Of the sleep trackers, this is the most accurate, but it's also a headband. And for some people, that can be challenging to utilize versus a wearable device that's going to give you pretty good information on your sleep, but won't bother you nearly as much. Something like an Oura Ring or Whoop band will. Okay, so we've gone through these three different types now of vagus nerve stimulators that are out there on the market today in early 2026. Cervical devices, short treatment times, high cost, but they tend to have a direct vagus nerve activation. But the placement of the devices is a bit of an issue, and depending on which country you're located in, your options are a little bit limited. On auricular devices, we're looking at longer treatment times, but more research and more data as to the beneficial effects that are out there. But again, placement is always going to be an issue with auricular devices. And then the biofeedback devices, tools like the HeartMath, the Apollo, the Sensate, and the Muse headband are all great options for people to utilize. But remember, they're not vagus nerve stimulators. They're great for biofeedback, telling you through data what's happening within your body. And that's why I like them. And so this is why I wanted to give you a bit of a rundown on the different types of vagus nerve stimulators and how to choose one that works well for you. So depending on what you need, what you want, what research you're willing to do and how you want to experience vagus nerve stimulation. I hope this episode has provided a breakdown, a rundown for you to be able to take this information and make an educated decision about vagus nerve stimulators and which one would be the best for you. I hope you appreciated this episode. Please share this episode with one person who you think could utilize this information, somebody who may have been looking for a stimulator. And we'll catch you on the next episode. Take it easy. Wishing you upgraded health.